Hi, I'm Corey. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. This episode will start on building the pages. The pages are in, the signatures are done, the covers are done, the inside and outside are done, and many of you don't need this step or this next process, but I've got a lot of new folks on the channel that said that they would like to see that. So I'm going to go through and show what I did for each page, and then we'll do it together. The pieces themselves were built during the previous 18 videos where we did the different Scrapbuster items, but some of the bases and some of the techniques on how to put things together might not be as obvious for new people. So I'm going to go through that. And I am starting with the inside cover. Now, I was hoping to do this and have it done by Saturday, July 10th, but putting the pages together and getting everything ready takes a little bit longer than I had thought it would. So realistically, it's going to be July 11th before it's completely done. So I'll still make this week, but just barely. So what I had done is I had started to do one and then have the pieces ready for one, and then I kind of goofed and put them in the wrong book and such, so I decided it was time for me to stop for the night. But the inside cover, and I did another one just exactly like it, so it's the same thing. And I made the mistake, because this wasn't a Scrapbuster video, this is just different pieces of Scrapbusters that I put together. I didn't show how I made the envelope itself, and I apologize for that. I should have. All I did was I took a regular window envelope and cut it so that it would fit on here. I think this is 5 1/4 or 5 1/2 or something, and then I just sewed a couple of the edges. That's it. That's all I did. All my envelopes had a coffee bath before I used them, so they've been all coffee dyed, and then just cut them at the top and bottom and sewed it to the size I needed. And so that was all the prep work on that. The tag on the inside is a Scrapbuster item. It's a tag, but it's also a scrap card. So I used just those little bits of scraps that I saved. And then, oh, I didn't put it on the back of this one. I made a digital copy with a list of the videos and what items are on which videos. I had written it on the back of the one that's my book, but for these two books, I have a digital copy and I'll put it on back. I just haven't done that part yet. And then, so here it's an envelope, which is a Scrapbuster item. It is a tag, which is Scrapbuster, and it's using scraps. And then there's a die cut on it as well. So I just put the die cut over the envelope, the window of the envelope, glued that in place. So, all right, so here's the sample book that I've already done. And this will be, the one that I based these pages on. Now remember that these new ones have 2 more pages, or 4 pages total, front, back, because I didn't measure the signature, the spine correctly. So this will be mostly followed, except we're going to add some extra pieces. All right, so that's what I did here. For the inside cover, and here is the inside cover, we're just going to take, see, I even cut them up in an envelope. And again, this is where I should have showed you exactly how I did it. Cut the envelope, sewed 3 sides, glued a die cut on top, made a tag out of coffee dyed card, put the scrap strips on it, sewed on some lace, and then I'll put the video numbers on the back. So like, I don't remember the numbers. I think journaling cards and clusters for whatever it is the first video, and then the second, and so on. So all I did here, you can use glue or you can use wet adhesive. It's completely up to you. Glue and wet adhesive. Good, Corey. See what I mean about getting tired? Strip adhesive. These are just tear away double-sided adhesive strips. I get these at the Daiso store because they're not very expensive. And I put it on the back of the envelope, and hopefully I'll be able to do this straight. And I'll move it up a bit. Maybe I should do it like this. Yeah, there you go. That's a little better. And then I'm going to mostly center it. And again, I don't really care if it's perfect, but I want it kind of straight and kind of mostly centered. Put it down, and there's the inside cover. All right. Page 1. Page 1 has several items. It's got a journaling card with a tab. It has got a glassine envelope turned into a tuck. It's got a tag. Oh, shoot. I forgot to put the matchbook in it. I will go back and do it. In the original journal, there's a matchbook. And I forgot to put the matchbook inside that pocket here. But I will do that before I sell these. So I'll put the matchbook in here. And then a button spot. So button spot, tuck, tag, journaling card, tab. There's just a whole, and then again, matchbook will go here. A lot of options for a page. A lot of the individual pieces that we made in Scrapbusters get combined to build a page. And that happens quite often when I do this. So, all right. So push it back, and now we'll put that page together. That's page 1, and I've got all the pieces ready so that it won't take too terribly long. And I'll try to do this whenever possible to show you how I assemble it and what I do. Okay, so here is a coffee-dyed glassine bag, and I think I got these at Amazon, but maybe I didn't, but I think I did. And on this one, I folded it over, I want to say about 1.5 inches or 2 inches, but I've already got the tag for it. So what I'm going to do to make sure that I have enough of a fold is I'm going to use my tag as my guide. So this, I've already made the tag, and I want to make sure that it fits. And I'm going to use glue, so I've got to make sure there's room for the glue. And I will just fold it over like that. Okay, so before I put my tuck down, I need to take the edge of that bag, the closed edge, fold it over, and I'll glue it in place. And this, for those of you who are new, I'm using Reptile glue simply because it has a little bit more wiggle room. Any wet glue will work. And it's not going to show where this would normally show through a glassine bag. Because I've coffee dyed it and it's already wrinkly, you're not going to see it at all. So if I were using an uncoffee dyed bag for this, I would need to use something like Fabri-Tac or a thin line adhesive, that dry adhesive tape, that kind of a thing. All right, so I took the end, folded it over, and now I'm making my tuck. And in my definition, a tuck just is glued on 2 sides as opposed to 3 sides, which makes it a pocket. Now, I want to make sure that I can open the bag because I'm going to put that little matchbook in here. And I want to make sure I'm putting it on the right spot. So I'm going to glue the right side and the bottom. So I'm putting glue on the right side and the bottom. And most of the time I clamp these, but we don't have to clamp it because, like I said, this glue has a little more wiggle time, but it does dry flat. You know what? Let's just be honest here. I want it to make sure it closes all the way, or adheres all the way, so I am going to clamp it. All right. Make sure it stays on until it's dry. And my journaling card. And what I did to make this journaling card, I just used a tab, the whale tail tab, and you can use any tab. It doesn't have to be. You can even use a circle punch or a rectangle or a ticket or just whatever you have, whatever you want. You don't have to have the whale tab to do this, but the whale tab. And then I have a couple different letter stamps, not letter stamps, these aren't lettered, word stamps. This one's happens to be in French. And then I just use like 2nd and 3rd generation stamping to make the background of the card. So that means I ink it and then I stamp it on my scrap paper a couple times, and then I'll lightly stamp it on here just to give a subtle soft background effect. And that's my journaling card. And so I can still write over it if I wanted to, or I can just leave it like this and write on the back. And I'll tuck that right into my tuck spot. And I just took a little bit of my scrap lace and scrunched it up and sewed it so that there was a little bit of an edge, because I thought this was just a little too, whoops, I gotta make sure I put that the right way, just not quite enough when I put it down. And same thing on the one up here. So what I'm doing is I am going to get the Fabri-Tac. Sorry, when I move away from my camera, it's really hard to hear me. And somebody pointed that out, and it's true, and I know it, which is ironic because I'm loud. I'm just generally a loud person. But I have ordered a microphone, so hopefully it's supposed to be here Friday or Saturday, so hopefully that will help a little bit. So I apologize. When I turn away, I know sometimes it's tough to hear. So, you know, I should have done this. See, learn from my mistakes. And again, this is what happens when I'm tired. I should have tucked this edge under before I glued this piece over. It'll still work because I'll just bunch it there. But I don't know if you can see on this one, before I folded this over to make that pocket for the tag, I glued the bit of lace down. Not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. It'll still work, but there you go. So if you haven't done yours yet, maybe you want to do that first. All right, and then I glued on the lace, and now I will, and I can use, actually on this one, I don't have to use Fabri-Tac. And I like Fabri-Tac, but it's just not my favorite. I prefer Reptile or Art Glitter Glue. All right, making sure my little lace tab is going the right way. My picture, this is just kind of a fake horse stamp, and trying to get both in the picture, and that's obviously not working so great. Okay, got that down. All right, and that is page 1 done. So we've got the inside cover done, and we've got page 1 done. And you know, these are just a guideline. Use what you've got. Use the pieces that you've made. Just the idea is to be able to come back and look at, oh man, see, this is just what happens when I do things tired. I'm going to have to cut this down to put it in because the glue went over too far. So I'll come back and do that later. All right, page, inside cover and page 1 done. Moving on to page 2 and 3. All right, page 2 is just a 3x3 square with the corner cut off, and then a scrap of another piece sewn on the front as a pocket, and then a little bit of a tag, and then a fold down tag for the journaling space in there, and then a tag with a cluster on the front for this. And I could have sworn I had a little label or something there. Let me look over here. I did. Maybe I just forgot to put it on. I was supposed to put a little bit of a label on here, but I'll come back and do that too. Before I sell anything or send anything, I double check it and triple check it and quadruple check it to make sure. But then again, the last journals I sent out, I didn't sign. So what do I know? All right. So page 2, let's get the pieces out and assemble those. Those are the pieces for page 2. So again, this was a square. I just cut off the corner of that square to make pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it would be a pentagon. And then I took a scrap and I sewed it on 3 sides to make a pocket. And I'll put that down on my page. And again, I'll move this back and move this. So hopefully you can see the whole thing. Okay, and I'm making this one a tuck, even though I could actually make it a pocket. So you can choose. This one I made to tuck, which means this side is open, so it's only glued on 2 sides. But this one I'm going to make into a pocket, so I'll glue it 3 sides. It really doesn't matter because the tag that I'm putting in it doesn't take up the full page. I mean, it's not wider than the pocket. It's, if I was going to make it come over this way, then I would want to make sure and make this just a tuck and not a pocket. But because it doesn't, I can do either a tuck or a pocket. I know it's kind of tedious, and I apologize for having you watch me glue, but I do intend to sell these, and I don't want to give somebody a poor project. I want to make sure the pockets are really well adhered. Okay. Then here is the fold down journaling. That's another Scrap Buster item, and it goes in here. Pockets of Scrap Busters, pockets of Scrap Buster, and a tag is a Scrap Buster with a cluster with a die cut. So lots and lots of Scrap Busters, and then there's place on the back to do your journaling. Now, normally when I make these, I put Nouveau Deluxe Nouveau Crystal Glaze on the top, and I will. But it takes a little while to dry, and I didn't want anything to be sticking together. So I will go back afterward and make sure that I've got the crystal glaze or crystal drops on those. So like this will be glossy when we're done. And sometimes I'll use a Wink of Stella or something like that and put a little bit of gloss in the flowers too, or sparkle, I should say, in the flowers too. All right, so there is page 2. So they're a little bit different color, but they're basically the same exact thing, just with just different pattern paper. And I know that a lot of this tend to turn back to green and those tans and browns, but that's just the color these papers are. So that's kind of what happened. All right, now we're on to page 3. And this one was double pockets and the square envelope fold. And I'll show you real quick how to do that when we're doing it. There's a video on square envelopes fold. There's video on all of these pieces. But, so square envelope fold. And then I just used a bit of lace and a flower card to kind of make a decorative tab on there because it was kind of a plainer page. So that's what I've got here. Oh, these are for the square envelope cards. All right. When I do these pockets, I cut them together. So I wanted them to be the same size. So I cut 2 pieces at the exact same size. And I think these are about 2.5 by 2 or something. Maybe they're 3 by 2. I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but they're, pockets. And then what I did to make sure that the divots that I took out were the same, I just lined them up like this and then punched them both at once. And then I went around and inked it because I like ink. Now, I didn't leave myself a lot of room on this one, so I want to be more careful here. So what I'm going to do, I don't want the one over the original sample, I didn't have the tab on the side overlay the pocket, and I don't really want it to here either. So I'm going to put this on first. Normally I put it on last. And I'm going to glue this piece on. And all this is a ticket with just a little bit of lace on the back. And then I used Seth's Apter Vintage Beeswax and embossed the top just to kind of give it a fun sheen. And then I inked it. But all that kind of stuff, it takes time. And I didn't want to make you waste your time. And so these are going to be pockets. And I'm going to do glue on 3 sides. And when I'm laying pockets like this, I'll just use a ruler to make sure that they line up evenly. Okay. And you don't need a ton of glue because it's not super heavy. So I'll lay my ruler on the side. I keep pushing down. I apologize for that. I'll lay my ruler on the side to make sure that when I put them in, that I line them up, that they're straight. All right, and I didn't, you can see I didn't measure how far from the top or how far from the bottom. I just kind of eyeballed it and put it in. Now, it could happen that when I just fold my square envelope folds and tuck it in, because I didn't put it down far enough, right? There's a chance that my square envelope may tuck up above the top because I didn't measure them. And if that happens, I'll just make a smaller square. Like these are 5.5-inch squares, and if it doesn't fit, I'll just make a 5-inch square. So I can make it work for what I need because they're scraps, and so you can adjust them accordingly. All right, so use that as my. I'm gonna go back and forth. Sorry, I can't really get both of them in at once, and glue those down, and then I'll quickly show you once again how to do this particular fold. It's pretty easy. Square paper, just about any size. I haven't done it with super duper duper tiny ones. And it does, this is a little bit thick. This is the heavier weight copy paper. The more industrial weight copy paper, I guess. But it does work a little bit better with a thinner copy weight because it gets bulky. So you make it a square. You turn it on a diamond or a diagonal, and you match your points. And they don't have to be perfect. It'll still work even if they're not. And you match your points and you make yourself a triangle. Then what I do is I line the point of my triangle up on one of my lines on my workstation. It doesn't really matter which one, because I want to take either the right or the left corner bottom corners and fold it over, and I need to fold it past that midpoint. So I want it to go past the midpoint, and it doesn't really matter how much past, I just need it to go past, because they're going the right side and the left side are going to tuck into each other. And then again, I use my workstation and the lines on my workstation to guide my fold. And I want, when I bring over the left side, I want to try and match my points. So at the top, I mean, they don't have to be perfect again, but I want to try to match where I've got my corner on my right to where I've got my corner on my left. That'll give me a more symmetrical look. And because this is heavy, I definitely need a bone folder. And fold it straight, Corey. See, this is a little bit thicker paper, so I have to work a little bit harder to fold it. That's one of the reasons that thin paper, standard copy paper works well. All right, bone fold. All right, so I folded it, and you can then tuck. You've got a little crease here, right? And you can either put right into left or left into right. It doesn't matter at all. But you tuck one side into the other, and then you fold down the top. And fold down the top. And again, crease it. And there is your square envelope fold. And I don't remember which video number that was on, but it was on a video. And I will tuck that. Let's see, unless of course I put too much glue. Oh no, it's going to work. Good. And I tuck that into the pocket. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this other one on the top. But for the sake of speed, I'm just not going to do it. But it's the same exact idea. I'll just do a second one and tuck it into that top. All right. That was page 3. Page 4. Okay, page 3. Page 4. Page 4 is a full pocket page. However, this paper was a solid paper, so I covered it. So what I'm basically doing, I just can't really, I can zoom out a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to do page 4 on this one in this book because of the paper that's over here. And then I'm going to do page 5 on page 4 in this book. So it's going to be the same configuration. They're just going to swap. And only because of the solid colored paper versus the pattern paper. So the page 4 in this book will be the page 5 in this book. So I've got my pieces. And we'll put them down. Now on the original, I used a scrap of lace and the 3 different kinds of tags. So a lace pocket, and then a tri-fold journaling, and then a library card practice or a writing practice, and then a negative space journaling spot. And then just a little stamped image with some bits of lace, leftover lace sewn on the top. So I'm essentially doing the same thing here, but I just had a little bit different lace. I had some really pretty doily and loved it. Not doily. What is this, Corey? Handkerchief. And absolutely loved it. So I wanted to use that and I wanted it to show. So here you can see that's one side of the handkerchief and here is the other. But I'm going to glue it down like it's a pocket and put it down so that the bottom drops over the edge just a little bit, just because it's so stinking pretty. Sorry, I guess I forgot to trim some of these threads. All right. Again, when I use these kinds of lace, when I use lace and linens and really fine things like that, I generally tend to put it on coffee dyed tracing paper. One, because the stability that it provides. 2, I like the crinkle effect. And 3, you don't catch things that you're putting in and out of the pocket and the little holes, because you've got the coffee dyed tracing paper. I mean, you don't have to use coffee dyed. You could use regular tracing paper, but I like coffee dyed. All right. And there is my lace handkerchief pocket. And then here, this is just a negative space of the die cut made into a journaling card. And I've got journaling space on the back. So what I did is I used cardstock. And I cut out the die cut, and we'll use the positive space at the end of the book. But the negative space, I glued it onto a piece of old book, and then I backed that with coffee dyed copy paper. So it's plenty sturdy. And then I just put a little label on the bottom because I tend to like labels. All right. And then the writing practice or journaling, or yeah, handwriting practice card. And that goes, tucks in here. Oops. Okay, I know that goes down farther. Yes, it does. And so does this. There we go. And then here is that trifold journal. And I just dry embossed it on the top. That's what the little polka dotties are. Okay, and then so that page is, oh, not quite done. And then this was just a leftover piece of coffee dyed tracing paper. And then I had a tiny smidgen, I don't even know if you can see it, of tatting. And I love tatting, so I save every piece of that. And then a scrap strip. And I sewed the scrap strip and the tatting on to this. And I had just stamped and embossed this hello there. The other one in the other book says just a note to say hello, and that was gifted to me by my friend Laura, and I don't have any more of those, so I went with something close. And just putting this right down here. Now I could have used Fabri-Tac, but this is such thin handkerchief, and the paper is underneath it, that is going to stay just fine. And try to get in frame there. All right, so that one's page 4 done. Now page 5, because again, we're going across because this was a solid page. And that's what I call the 3-pocket full page. And this is what I generally use if I don't like the way 2 pages look together, or if I have, I put something on upside down, or I smeared ink or something. So this is one of my rescue pages, but I really like it, so I do it kind of frequently. And the way I do a 3-pocket full page, and you can do it a couple different ways. Oops, where did I put it? Here it is in this one, where the long pocket is on the outside and then 2 shorter pockets are on the inside. And I've done this a bunch of different ways. It doesn't really matter where you have your openings. So for this one, I am going to put, again, I pre-cut and pre-inked everything just for the sake of speed. And I made one section, a long section to put on the edge, and then I made the other 2 sections shorter ones. Now you could, if it was a bigger page, you could do 5 pockets or 6 pockets or whatever, but if the smaller you make the pockets, the more cumbersome it is. And so basically I just glue these 3 pockets on, and that is what I'm going to do here. And I will clamp these because it's cardstock on cardstock, and again, I want to make sure it dries well and that it's got a good adhesion. All right, and I generally start with the outside piece. I don't know why I do, just to make sure that the edge ends up flush, because it's easier to hide something on the inside than it is on the outside. At least that's what I'm thinking. All right, and climb up. You know, I never get really a chance to chat because I'm like, get down to business and such, but hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their summer, and that you had a great 4th of July weekend. Breck turned 1 on the 3rd, so we got to do that. And then for the 4th, my husband is a truck driver and he had to work. So I worked in the cave. Got some things that needed to be done. All right, and then gluing down this pocket. The prep work takes, I'm not a speedy crafter at all, although I wish I were, but the prep work always takes me longer than I think it will. And that is pretty much the story of my life. Everything takes longer than I think it will. For example, I was packaging up some ink boxes today, and it took me an absurdly long time because I found a little place that needed to be sanded, and I don't even know, and it just took me a while to package them up. And I didn't get them mailed today. I'll get them mailed tomorrow because my husband had my truck. But everything just takes me longer than it should, or than I think it should. And again, the same thing is true with this book. These pages took me longer to do the prep work for. So I got 7 pages. I think I got 7 pages done tonight. And I wanted to get 9 so that we could finish on Saturday. But reality is such that it'll probably be Sunday. So at least I hope it will be, because I really want to start the Stamperia Forest next week. That has been way overdue, and I've been promising it for a long time. All right, so I've glued my pockets on. And then these are just journaling cards, and those will go in one of the pockets. I don't know how dry the pocket is yet, but we're just going to tuck those in. And then this is just some scrap paper that I sewed together to make a little booklet, and that goes in the top. Maybe, because I've got these clamped. I don't know how well it'll play, but it does fit. I mean, it's supposed to be fitting. Okay, it's a little snug, but it'll work. Maybe I have to cut it down. Maybe I made this, you know, what I could have done is I made this pocket a little bit taller than this pocket. So I'll have to cut this down a little bit. Well, you know, I'll just tuck it in right there. And then these are just some Tim Holtz people. And I thought they were really cute. And I don't use the Tim Holtz people very often because truthfully, most of the time in my own personal journals, I tend to use family photos. So I use my journals as places to write, but I also use them as a scrapbook of sorts where I can tell our story. And so I use our own family photos. So I don't use Tim Holtz people very often, but I really do like them. So I'm going to layer these two together. Let's see if you can even see what I'm doing. Yeah, I thought they were really cute together, and they are. So I'm going to put them together there. Oh, I should tuck this in. This is the long ledger type paper that I cut and made to fit this, and let's hope it fits, because if not, again, I can just trim down the bottom. See, when I'm, yeah, see, I have to trim down the bottom, because when I'm doing it quick like this, I tend to glue more than I normally would. So I glue up a little bit higher than I normally would. There we go, that should fit. There you go. Okay, tuck in. And it tucks all the way in. Okay, good. Now, one of the things, because of the way her hands are sitting, I want to put a flower in her hand. And so what I did is I grabbed this vellum sticker. And I thought this rose was a little big, but it's really, really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and use it. But I don't want this whole big thing because that would be too big. So what I do, and I do this quite often, I used to work, I did some work for Me and My Big Ideas a long time ago, and then some other SRM Press and some other sticker companies. And I really like to cut up stickers and use bits and pieces and such so that, you know, you can make it work for what you want. And I do that with these vellum stickers all the time. I, you know, cut little bits off and change it. And there's a lot of vellum around it. So a lot of times I'll just sort of fussy cut it and trim off some of that extra vellum. And even when I don't trim off the extra vellum, I will ink it because I don't like how stark white it is. I mean, it doesn't bother me on other people's, but on my own, I don't like it. So I'll just ink it a little bit. And now, and it does, yes, it does take me a little bit longer to peel it off because it just does. But I'm going to glue her down. See, what I did is I just cut around her hand so that I could lift it up and tuck the little flower underneath. So I'll just be careful when I glue her down, not to glue that arm down until after I've tucked her flower underneath. I just felt like she should be holding a flower because she's very pretty, and pretty girls need flowers. So there you go. A lot of times, sorry, I'm turned away again. A lot of times what I'll do with these is I'll use a block to hold it in place, and that just helps the glue to the piece to stay closer to the paper so that until the glue dries. And again, my hands are a hot gluey mess because I've been inking and gluing all day, so I apologize for that. And it will eventually peel away. Maybe I'll just not do it. I can't even see anymore. I mean, I can see, but I can't see it very well to get the edge to lift it up. And it's, you know, always when you're on camera, things take even longer and they don't work the way they're supposed to. But I want to show you how I do this. Oh, maybe I got it. And I have no fingernails. I always cut them off. So there we go. All right, clear plastic that you can't even see, but I promise you it's there. Peeled that off. Now I will lift up her little sweet hand and tuck her flower where her hand belongs so that she's hanging onto that flower. And that's a little bit too long, so let's just trim that down. There. Now she's holding a rose. I don't know how well you can see that, but she's holding that pretty rose in her hand. All right, it's a little big, but, you know, for the sake of journals. And then I'll glue her friend. I don't know if he's her little brother or a cousin or he's a neighbor kid, but he's her friend. Because they both look like they're just tolerating each other. And, you know, sometimes that's what little brothers do. Not that I have a little brother, but my kids all have a little brother. So, okay, there we go. And you know what? I feel like I forgot something. I did. There should be, oh, here it is. Good. There is just a little bit of I just took a bit of ribbon and put a piece of crocheted lace over the top because I just felt like it needed a little bit more feminine touch there. And again, because this is all fabric, I will use Fabri-Tac. I don't know what I have against Fabri-Tac. It's just not my favorite. It works just fine, but it's just not my favorite. Though it is essential for certain things. So I'm grateful for it. Okay. Now it's stuck to my finger. We are almost done. Oh gosh, this is going to be another really long one. Someday I'll learn to be a little bit quicker, maybe. Okay, there we go. That is on there. All right, and that concludes page 5. I'll come back and fix this correctly. All right, now this is where I blew it. I had been working in this book and prepping for this book, and then I got sidetracked. And so, oops, I didn't do the pages for this book. I put them in this book. So we'll just swap them around, and then we'll be all caught up, and then it won't matter so much that I made the mistake. All right, in the original book, I swapped these 2 pages because this was a solid color belly band, and I didn't want to put it on a solid color page. And this was kind of a busy rectangle into triangle fold, and I wanted the busier one on the solid page. So I just swapped them. And that's just a very easy thing to do. You can do that anytime. So here is my original that I put together in my book. And then here is the sample. And because of the way it worked out on this book too, I'll do it in this order. So here you have a belly band and a journaling card with some lace. And on this side, you have 2 rectangle into triangles that are overlapped. And then you have a collaged journaling card, a top fold down journaling. You know, it's a pocket flip is what I call it. Pocket flip journaling, where that goes over the top. And I've got a couple of vocabulary cards and then just a tag or a ticket or something in there. And I could tuck something in here if I wanted as well, because there's another pocket there, but it was getting pretty busy. So, and oh, that reminds me, these. I had a couple people ask about these little guys, and I have them right here. In fact, I have a couple things to show you, but I'll show you that right now so I don't. Okay, where did I put it? Here it is. These are Tim Holtz Ideology Tiny Clips, Petit La Agrafe. I don't know if I said that right. I probably butchered it. But it's Tim Holtz Ideology Tiny Clips. And that's what these are. So there you go. Okay, so let's put this page together. Now, rectangles. The rectangles are the first thing you do with this. I've got all kinds of little bits in here, but I made myself a note so that I remember to tell you. Okay, all the little pieces are out now. In this book, I made the rectangles 3 by 4 1/4 and 3 1/2 by 4 1/2 because I have 2 rectangles that I folded over into triangles and laid together. In my original book, I'll show you here. In my original book, they are at this one's at 2 1/2 by 4 1/2, and this one's at 3 1/4 by 4. So my whole point with telling you that is it doesn't really matter what size rectangle you start with. Obviously, you don't want them to be too big, but you can use your scraps. You can use varying size rectangles and still make them work. And I had started to put them, glue them in so they were ready to go. And then I realized, well, maybe you need to see it. So it's a rectangle, right? and you fold down one corner and then glue along the bottom, and then you've got a tuck or a pocket as well as a tuck right here. And that's all it is. Rectangle folded down and glued along the bottom. So I'll glue along the bottom. There's a lot of gluing in this video, but I guess that's just the nature of this beast. All right, and then because now you can use it this way, and I have in the past, just use it just one of these and then glue it to the bottom of my page, right? And then I've got a tuck spot in the back. Sorry, I'll move it up. Tuck spot in the back, a big tuck spot, and then I've got a tuck spot on the side. So you can do it just like that. You don't have to put the double layer like I'm going to. But I really like the double layer, so I'm going to do it. All right, that should be dry or close enough to dry. All right, so I've got one. Oh, man, and I didn't ink this edge. Sorry, guys. That'll be a quick ink. I already inked everything else. All right, and I've got one that I folded from the upper left down to the bottom, and I've got another that I took from the upper right and folded down. So I've got two pieces, and they're a little bit different height. What I do is just lay one right on top of the other, and I'll do it like this. And so I'll glue two sides. I know that back's really pretty, but I've used that paper quite a bit in this book, so I didn't want to go overboard. So I've glued two sides, and I'll come up to my fabric hinge, and I'll lay it right on top of that fabric hinge. Or right next to, I should say, right next to that fabric hinge. Okay? And I'll just push down on here for a second. Oh, you know what I didn't do is I didn't heat. I'm not going to do it right now. I can just take my heat gun or my flat iron or my hair dryer or any of those pieces and heat this, and then that line will go away. The line that I used to sew it down. It's one more thing to do, but I will remember to do it. All right. Okay, pocket down. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to put glue along the outside edge and the bottom. And I'll use the edge of my page as my guide, and I'll lay it right along the bottom like that. I'll clamp the two together for a little bit until that glue takes. Sorry, my chair is really squeaky. I've utilized this chair this year. Okay, so there are my pockets. And then I've got, here are my journaling cards. I have them in a variety of languages, and I just bought them, and I couldn't tell you who from, on Etsy. Just look for vocabulary cards, and I've got them in, I'm really hoping to find them in Gaelic someday, or Gallic. But I've got them in Latin, in Spanish, and French, and German. And I really just like them because I think they're a cool addition. And I'm going to tuck it in right there in that middle pocket. What did I do? This journaling card. Maybe I put it in the wrong pocket. I did. I put it in the wrong pocket. Oh, good. All right. And then this is a collaged journaling card. It's just a little bit of lace on top. And that goes in the big pocket on the back. This is just a little ticket here. I've got a tag, but just as a little ticket fit. And I'll tuck it right here. And here is the pocket flip is what I call them. And the way I do these, and the reason I didn't complete it in advance is because I want to show you how I do it. So I make sure that it goes down in the back, and then I fold it over because I want it, because I've got glue on there, so I want to make sure that it is long enough to, it's not too long to fit inside that pocket. And then I will just fold down the top. They don't have to match, they don't have to touch, no rules about that, because that's how I'm making the pocket flip. Okay, and then I'll tuck it over like this. I'll take these guys off. This should be more than dry by now. And here is my pocket flip. Okay, now I did this on purpose so that it would work. But now because I'm playing with it, I can see, okay, good. So here is my pocket flip. And then here it is in this original book. Here it is. like this with the tiny clip and then a tag and a butterfly, and so I'll put those on. All right, and I grabbed a couple because I didn't know how big of a space I was going to have to work with. Do I want to use that one or do I want to use that? I want to use this one. All right, I'll take it out and then glue this down. I want it to hang over the edge just a little bit, just because it, again, I don't know, makes it look less, makes it flow better, I guess. So I'll put this on here. And then these butterflies are, Carrie from Witchcraft Do You Do. She's got a variety of sizes, and I really like these. She has a laser cutter, and I begged her to cut them on her laser cutter for me, and I purchased them that way. So she's a great sport. And then again, this is another one. I'll come back later on with the Nuvo crystal and put the crystal drops on it so that it's got a dimension, and the butterfly sparklies. And voila. Tag, butterfly, and I just inked this. This was a really bright butterfly, and I wanted it, I still wanted the blue, but I wanted it toned down to go with the page. So I did that. And that was just a piece of coffee-dyed copy paper that I used for this. And then I would say about 95% of the time, I don't even look and see what color these are. They're all aged metal, so I don't even care. This one's a darker one, this is a lighter one, and I mix the metals all the time in my book because then I don't have to worry that they're all the same, and I like the way it looks. So there we go. There is page 6. Last but not least today, and holy Moses, I take a long time. All right, page 7. It's a simple one. It's just a belly band, and the way I made this belly band, this is dry embossed on a piece of that really cool green and craft cardstock, and then I backed that onto a piece of book page, old book page. And when I make a belly band, if I go all the way over here, that would be more of a tuck spot, and I could put it right in the center, but I kind of don't want it in the center based on what I've got in my background. So I want it right about here. And then for a belly band, you just glue at the top and the bottom, or if I were doing a horizontal belly band, I would glue side to side. But I'm doing a vertical belly band, so I'm going to do top and bottom. And I wanted it over here. Maybe I should put it where I want it. There we go. And that's the beauty of this glue. I can just pull it up and wave it away. Okay, all that noise, and I got one clip. And I don't know why it bugs me, but it does when I have them upside down. Oh, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever, but it still bugs me. All right, so I'll glue that on. And then this is a journaling card with just a bit of lace sewn on the edge just for interest. Just a double-sided journaling card, that just a piece of paper that I inked up. And I am going, actually I think on this one, I tucked it with the lace on that side based on the pattern of the paper. But here, I think I'll tuck it with the lace on this side just because I like it. And then at the edge of the page, I have one of those little Tim Holtz paper clips in the fun metal, and then I used a bead, and I attached a bead to the end. And it's almost too busy right here. I might put that on another page instead. I'll just tuck it on the next page instead. And my original, I've got it on this page, but there we go. I'll tuck it on that page. All right, that is it for these pages. So we got the cover, the inside front cover, and 7 pages done. And we'll do at least that much again tomorrow, and we will finish this book up. So that goes somewhere. I was going to put that somewhere. Oh, I know. Corey. And you don't have to by any means. I probably use more labels than some people, and I may or may not add it there. I don't know that I love it. I think I like it just the way it is because there's plenty of busyness. But then again, the colors kind of, I'm going to put it on. What the heck? All right. Because I really do like labels. I think they add interest and fun to the page, and they help your eye move throughout the page. So I'll put that there, and again, I'll put some glossy accents. Not glossy accents. That's the old stuff. Nuvo Crystal Glaze on that. All right. Done and done for today. The other thing I was going to show you or share with you, and I'll reuse these, is I've had people ask about the Velcro that I use when I use Velcro. They're Velcro thin clear fasteners, and they come in 2 different sizes. This is a 3/8 inch circle, and there's 56 in a pack, and then I use a larger size too, but they're the thin clear fasteners Velcro brand. So if you're hunting for those, I always buy mine at Walmart, but I believe Amazon has them as well, and I'm sure other places do too. And then the last thing I was going to show you is this new die set that I got that I'm really excited to use. I got a gift card to Artco, which is a Tacoma-based craft store. It's an independent. Got a gift card as a thank you gift. And look, I think that's a thistle, but I really like the size of these flowers. I haven't played with them yet, but I love using glassy glare. Sorry about that. Really looking forward. There's bees on here and there's a couple different flower heads, but I really love that thistle. And I pulled this out for a reason. So July's mini is going to be flower, your favorite flower or a flower you love or something like that. But August will be heritage, and you can turn that into anything you want, versus a place you would like to visit or your own personal heritage or whatever. But I'm going to use that thistle for that. All right, if you're still with me, thank you so very much. I hope that helped you get your own book put together. Thank you for watching, and happy creating.